Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for this very important hearing. This is going to be a question to Dr. Kesselheim. And this stems from a story that we had heard from a constituent in Wasilla, not too far north from Fairbanks, but they have indicated that they've been paying $633 for a 3-month supply of her inhaler. The price of the inhaler increased in January for the 3rd year in a row. And like so many, they just don't get it. You know, why do we keep seeing these price increases? So Dr. Kesselheim, in your experience with these year-to-year price hikes on prescription drugs, in your view, what's prompting it? Do they usually result from changes or improvements to the drug's efficacy? Because I think if it was going to improve the drug, we can understand why that might be. Or is it because they are resulting from increased manufacturing costs or R&D? What do you tell somebody like this constituent in Wasilla?
It's a very challenging issue, and no, it doesn't arise for any of those things. It arises because manufacturers have, pharmaceutical companies have investors that they need to, maintain their profit margins for, and one of the ways that they can do that is if they have an approved product is by raising the price on that product year after year. And unfortunately, in the case of inhalers, we have a lot of the same issues that we have with insulin, where manufacturers are able to get new patents on the not on the underlying medicine itself, but on the inhaler device, and those patents prevent the FDA from approving interchangeable versions of the product that might lower the prices. And of course, we also just don't do any negotiation with manufacturers over the prices that they charge for their products. And as a result of all of those things, that gives manufacturers substantial freedom to raise their prices far beyond inflation on a year-over-year basis, and leads to the problems like you're describing for your constituent.
So do we have any way to determine whether these price hikes are justified? What you've just outlined to me, I don't think that's going to be satisfactory to this individual in Wasilla. How can we know whether or not, when you have reformatted the device for the inhaler, that somehow or other increases the efficacy? Is there any way to determine whether these price hikes are justifiable?
Sure. So, one of the ways you would do that is you might actually conduct a clinical trial in which you tested your new version against the old version and showed that one was superior. Most pharmaceutical companies don't fund that kind of comparative effectiveness research. Instead, they just rely on marketing to promote the new improved product. I would also say that if we did have a publicly funded independent organization that evaluated the effectiveness of products and helped negotiate prices, if in fact a product was substantially improved by virtue of a change in manufacturing practice or something like that, then theoretically the pharmaceutical manufacturer could submit that information to the organization, and it could be fairly reviewed, and the price could be increased if it was fair to do so.
Well, Mr. Chairman, we hear these stories all the time. This is the reason that we're having this hearing this morning. Senator Baldwin and I have reintroduced what we call the Fair Drug Pricing Act, which would require the manufacturers to actually provide some kind of a justification when we see these substantial increases to the list price for the medications. I think we recognize that people want to see some level of transparency here and accountability when you see these really sometimes incredible price hikes year over year over year. So I would hope that we'd be able to advance provisions like what Senator Baldwin and I are trying to do, along with leadership on this committee. I thank you.